Douglas Cooling and Heating, serving the Birmingham area for 38 years. 988-3706. That's Douglas.
This is the Weather Xtreme video for Sunday, March the 20th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and hope you got a chance to see that supermoon last night. Wow, it was certainly the weather cooperated very nicely with clear skies, at least in my location. And I think for much of central and nearly all of Alabama, we had clear skies. Well, let's go to the Skycam imagery this morning. There's a look at Coleman as we look off primarily to the east, and we can see a few little small low-level clouds there, but generally clear. And we still see the moon at Demopolis with this shot, and certainly a beautiful sight overnight. The front is depicted as being in the vicinity of central Alabama. I don't think that they've drawn it right in the right location. I think it's much further north than that, but that's the map that we show on this particular one. So I think it actually is lying across the state of Tennessee. But in the upper atmosphere, we're getting gradually under a stronger ridge, and that ridge will keep us pretty much high and dry for much of the week, with the exception of the Wednesday-Thursday time frame, but we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Warm weather across much of the country, as you can see, especially those yellows. Those are 50 and above, all the way up into the central plains and all across the southeastern U.S., and even some 70-degree values down there in the lower Rio Grande Valley. No 70s around here, at least this morning, but we do have a pretty good range all the way from 53 at Muscle Shoals to 63 at Birmingham, so quite a range. But notice the easterly wind, and we may be affected by the wedge. We'll talk about that also in just a minute. QPF is not showing a great deal for the next 5 days, and I think that's pretty much on track. We have a little chance, especially on the Wednesday-Thursday time frame, but that's very minimal. Storm Prediction Center is outlooking parts of Alabama and Georgia for a chance of some thunderstorms today. Not sure I go with that too much because of the lack of forcing that's there. But the severe weather threat stays in the central plains on day 2. Day 3, it's still there, getting a little bit closer. And then day 4, Wednesday, it looks like we do have a little bit of a threat, especially across Kentucky and Tennessee, but extending down into North Alabama. 06Z GFS model run this morning shows that high-pressure system up over New England and the mid-Atlantic states, nosing back down across or to the east of the Appalachians and allowing the wedge to possibly develop for us. Looks like it could affect North Georgia, but I think the effects will be minimal if they into Alabama, but if there are effects, it would be into the Anniston area. The ridge builds in stronger from the western Gulf on Monday, and as that does, pretty much chances for rain are pretty diminished at all. Turning to the upper atmosphere for Tuesday, the ridge is still very strong, and as it gets stronger, it's forcing the traveling weather systems to move further to our north. You can see that one out over the Dakotas, and it gets shunted across the Great Lakes, even though it dampens the ridge somewhat on Wednesday. And that dampening of the ridge does allow perhaps a front to come down into the area and give us at least the threat for some showers, especially Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening and even into early Thursday morning. The flow turns a little bit more northwesterly on Thursday. Not going to cool us down as much as I was thinking it was yesterday, but the ridge builds back on the eastern side of the Rockies, and as that does, the thicknesses do drop somewhat, so that means we will cool off at least a little bit for Friday as the ridge moves our way, and another trough system with multiple shortwave troughs out to the west begins to work on that ridge. The ridge does begin to dampen out on Saturday once again, as we see a pretty strong shortwave over the Four Corners area, but that still means that we should be dry on Saturday, even though the cold front off to our west. And that system begins to show more development on Sunday, a week from today, and that means that a cold front will be dragging into the area. So it looks like Sunday we could see some wet weather. And that wet weather may extend into Monday as we see a pretty good piece of energy, a pretty good disturbance moving through the flow, and that helps to generate a surface low. So we might be looking at the possibility of some severe weather early next week, but we are verging into voodoo. Speaking of voodoo, let's go out a little bit further. Looks like April 1st. And this is no joking. It looks like we've got the possibility of another strong storm system with a nice closed low and a short wave in the upper atmosphere. And then we get into sort of a benign weather pattern around the 4th of April. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Weather Xtreme video. Again, it looks like it's going to be a nice warm day today for the most part with a few clouds. So I hope you get a chance to maybe get out there and begin doing some of that spring yard work. Oh, yard work. Oh, don't let me talk that way. Hope that you have a wonderful day. James Spann should be back again with the next Weather Xtreme video first thing Monday morning. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful day and Godspeed.
Each day there are new stories to tell about the people who live here and the place we call home.
All of the faces that I see, all of the places close to me, they're all part of all the best things about home.
Sharing your stories on ABC 3340, Alabama's news leader.